Now let's move the pivot point of the sphere to the bottom of the sphere. And the reason I want to do that is so that later when I want to move and position my object in the scene, I can, for example, set the bowl onto a countertop by exactly typing in the value of the height of the countertop. Because right now the sphere's pivot point is in the center of the sphere. If I select it and use the Move tool, we can see that the Move gizmo is in the center of the sphere. All right, I want to move that down so it's at the bottom of the sphere. Let's go to our 4 viewport layout with Alt-W, and I can position the sphere up so that it's just sitting right there on the ground plane, or the XZ plane of the world. And to move the pivot point, let's go over to the Command panel, and there's a new one we haven't seen yet, and it's the Hierarchy panel. Click on that. And then there are 3 sub-panels within that. The one we want is Pivot, and that's highlighted by default. To move the pivot, click on Affect Pivot Only. And you may need to refresh the view if I just middle mouse drag in here or use the Move tool. We will see that there is an extra little tripod icon that we didn't see before, and that's the pivot point itself. All right, so this is a bit confusing sometimes. We have the Move gizmo, which is an axis tripod. And then we also have the pivot point proper, which is another axis tripod. And by default, they're going to be right on top of one another. But they're actually 2 different things. And we can see that again. If we go over to the left view, I can right-click in that left view. And we can see in the different viewports that the Move gizmo is oriented differently from the pivot point. That's not a problem. There's no issue here. I just wanted to illustrate to you that these are 2 different things. The Move gizmo is a manipulator for moving things, and the pivot point is an integral part of the object. It's the object's center, or its anchor. Okay, I'm just going to move that up so that it's right there on the bottom of that sphere. I don't need to be super precise about it. And then exit out of Affect Pivot Only. And now the center of the sphere's transformations is going to be at the bottom of that sphere. And I can test that, go into the Rotate tool, and then turn the sphere, and it's going to spin around that location. Undo that with Control-Z, and that's the simple process of moving a pivot point.